How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. It's been a
I
long
how's life been for you over there in Oregon?
It's been good. Been good recently. Yeah.
Good, good.
I mean, things are not crazy here in Oregon, but yeah, if you've been watching the news. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
know.
for us, it's been okay.
Yes, I know. I know. How's the weather? Is it cooling off over there?
It is raining. hmm
Raining.
Yeah,
Okay.
typical. Yeah, very
Here,
stereotypical. It's raining.
here we don't know if we need a jacket or we need shorts. You
Yeah.
know the
Oh, you
time.
might need one in the morning and something else in the afternoon. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So I'm really excited to have you here today on the One Self podcast. Our show is all about where wellness meets purpose, inspiring you to grow intentionally and elevate your brand, business, and life. So I want to know about your professional background and more so, what inspired you to become a mental health therapist? And how did nutrition and fasting become part of this journey?
Yeah. So my professional background, well, Natasha and I know each other. You and I know each other from Northern Arizona University, where we were getting our degrees in psychology. And I graduated from there in 2010. And so I've spent the last 15 years working in mental health. And I I've worked in every single level of care. I've done everything. I've done residential, inpatient, outpatient, community based, um, everything. And so, which I kind of did just because I was trying to piece together life, right? It was just kind of trying to make ends meet, trying to, get through grad school, get my license. I was just kind of open to whatever to make ends meet. But it's been very, very helpful just to have that level of experience now that I work for myself in outpatient. Right now I'm virtual only. Um, but it's been so helpful that having that extensive background because anybody that I work with, no matter what their history is, I've worked in it. I know what that is. I'm, comfortable with whatever, if whatever they've got coming at me, I have been there already. So that's been really helpful. And then moving into like holistic health was my own health journey
Yes.
after COVID. I got, long haul COVID, and then my health just completely crashed in 2021. And I was pretty rooted in Western medicine. I've been working in hospitals, um, often recommending, just kind of getting all the vaccines, taking all the medications, recommending all the medications, that people go see psychiatrists and that. And then when my health crashed, the Western medicine system just had nothing for me, absolutely nothing. And so I ended up going into holistic health in order to heal myself and learned a ton. I just learned so much, and it just completely changed my mental health practice and now my health coaching practice. It changed everything. I had clients who I had known since they were children, who would come back. I knew them in residential and inpatient. And then as adults, they came and found me in outpatient. And they had had the same issues all that time. And when we started working on their physical health for the first time in their entire lives, their mental health started getting better.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And
And to have that experience of knowing someone for so long and I knew their journey and to be like, whoa, that worked. That's crazy.
mhm,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Especially when that connection happens of mind and body, you're just like, wow, this my work that I'm doing is fulfilling not only myself but my clients, and I see the change, and so you feel it's like a win. You feel good about yourself that you were able to do that for someone. You know.
Yeah.
Um, so that's great. So of course, like she said, her own journey inspired her to create this path, this career for herself. So when did you get really interested in the nutritional element of healthcare and fasting?
Yeah. So in This summer of 2022, I felt like I was dying.
Wow.
I actually took out $1 million life insurance policy because I was really sure I was not going to be alive in 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
I had no energy. My short-term memory was starting to go, so I was pretty sure I was going to have to close my practice because I couldn't hold a thought in my head. You know, when my client's talking, you're
Yeah.
tracking what they're saying, and you're supposed to loop back. I
Correct.
couldn't hold a thought in my head long enough to do that, and
Yeah.
it would disappear. It would never come back, which I
So
had
was
never
it
experienced before.
only like short-term memory or long-term as well?
Short-term memory was really, really bad.
Okay.
And I had 50 or 60 symptoms a day. I was in so much pain, such bad chronic fatigue, insane allergies. And my doctors were telling me that there was nothing wrong with me.
Oh wow.
They were like, nope, your labs are normal. You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
And they would not look into, they wouldn't even look into autoimmune testing or anything because my basic labs were okay. And so that I found a program with a doctor who had been through what I've been through and had been teaching this program for 20 years, the Health Centers program with Dr. Pompa. And the very first thing they had me do was change my diet and start intermittent fasting, keto, and regular fasting. Like once a week, I would fast from dinner to dinner. And then I would do intermittent fasting several days a week with keto. And then one day a week, I would feast. One day a week, it would be healthy food, but like more carbs and eating more often. And they taught me that. And along with the rest of their program, which I now teach and take other people through. But the diet and fasting piece was key. It's actually the hardest thing to get people to do. People are happy to take pills. They're happy to take the pills, but that part is the magic. That's how I got my inflammation to go down. That's how I got reversed my pre-diabetes. That's how, I got my fat resistance. So I was completely weight loss resistant. My body was burning muscle instead of fat.
Wow.
And that's how I reversed that, was with the diet and fasting piece. And I'll have you put the link for that course, because it's, there's so much information out there, but if you really want to heal, if you want to use diet and fasting to heal, there are very particular ways to go about that. And I really love giving people those tools, right? To be like, here's how you do it. You don't have to keep wandering around on the internet desert trying to figure out how to do this yourself, right? Learn from people who have actually healed their own bodies.
Exactly. And you don't want to get into the whole like fad diet thing, because we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of, Dr. Google, but Dr. Google doesn't always have all the answers, You that's why you go to specialists, and, you get to a point in your life where you're so tired of taking, over the counters and nothing's changing. And sometimes it's your mindset too. Cause I know personally, I had a good friend of mine who told me, hey, why don't you look into naturopathy? Like, there's so many options, for healing your gut, your thyroid, and other things. I mean, some things, yeah, okay, you might have to take the actual medicine, but a lot of things they say stem in your gut, So if you can heal that part, you feel better, and the weight starts coming off. But also it's the mindset, like that you can lose the weight,
Yes. Yeah.
So from the things that you've faced with your chronic autoimmune health challenges yourself, how does those experiences really influence your support for your clients?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, mindset is super important. And it's always fascinating to me the way when I share my own story with people, I mean, quite often I can already tell if somebody's like a good candidate to actually use these things to heal themselves based on what they say in response to my story, right? Because if they're saying things like, oh yeah, I could never do that, or oh yeah, I can't give up Oreos. For some reason, that's a big one that people tell me.
I don't think soda would be
like, you can't give up Oreos? I don't understand. People tell themselves, right? Like, oh, I can't do this. And so in in therapy, my therapy clients, my health coaching clients, the biggest thing is tell yourself you can, right? I believed, for me personally, like my faith in God was huge. And I asked God to heal me. And I really felt that God said, like, okay, but you're going to have to learn to be more disciplined, right?
Yeah,
Like it's going
absolutely.
to take discipline. You're going to have to learn to obey and do what it takes. And for me, I wanted to be able to raise my son. That was my why,
Yeah.
right? He was only 2 years old back then when I had this conversation with God. And I was like, okay, you gave me this son, right? I'd like to raise him and I'd like to not do it from my bed.
Yes.
That's where I was at.
And that's
Yeah.
wow. So that's good that it pushed you to work even harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you had that intuition within yourself that, hey, enough is enough. I'm ready to make those changes. You know?
Yeah. And I wish that, I'm always so impressed by people that want to make these changes before they feel like they're dying.
Yeah.
But oftentimes that's just not what happens. We get to the point where we're like fed up and we have to do it before we'll make these huge changes. But, but I didn't have these resources sooner. Like I was not on the right track at all before I found these resources. I was just taking a bunch of random supplements that people were telling me about and going to my doctor and being gaslit. But yeah, and I love getting these resources to people before. I'm always my clients that are just like, oh yeah, I just have a few symptoms, but I'm ready to implement these things. I'm always like, good for you. Like, please don't wait. Please don't wait until you feel like you're dying.
I know, but that's just the reality. Like sometimes we're so go go go, we don't think it's gonna catch up to us, and then eventually, that's when you're realizing, okay, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not eating properly, you're just going going going, but with what in mind? Because eventually you're gonna crash at some point, like emotionally, mentally, physically, and then it's like, okay, now I got to play catch up for something that I could have just managed my time or my mental health a little better and been okay.
Yeah.
But it's like we're all guilty of that in different parts of our life. Things happen. But yeah, you're right. It's the work you do now so that you don't have to catch up or play catch up later.
Right. Yeah.
So given that, many people have misconceptions about fasting. So could you give us one myth that you've seen in your practice when you talk to people?
Sure. I think, it's really kind of hard to gauge what people are thinking when they're hedging on fasting. Most people, it's just people have a lot of fear about not eating. It's really very psychological. And I think people just don't understand how magical it is. And part of that is because we didn't understand as a scientific community how magical it was until 2016. So the guy that won a Nobel Prize in 2016 discovered autophagy, right? Which is where when you fast, your body actually eats dead cells and excretes them, gets rid of them, which dead cells accumulation is one of the things that causes cancer and cysts and all the different ways your body tries to collect the damage, right? And so we didn't even know about autophagy until not that long ago, like 9 years ago. And so this is pretty new. And so part of it is, I think people think it's just a fad, but because the Western medical community did not embrace fasting when we found this out, people think it's just a fad. And there's so much research. It is so science-based, but it's recent, right? It's okay. Like you wouldn't have known about this 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It's not like this has just been hanging around. It's like there's so much research happening. There's so much science behind it. It's not a fad. And people were doing that for thousands of years.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then once you start doing it and make it a habit, you can see the difference, because you can't just say, okay, I'm going to fast today and then tomorrow I'm just going to go back to eating my Oreos, and then the next day I'm going to be drinking all this soda, and then the next day I'm going to eat well for like 7 days and then go back, because it's kind of like a yo-yo thing, and anything that you do yo-yo never comes out 100%, so it's always
if you're very, very healthy, even just a 1 day a week fast and then eating like crap would actually have some level of benefit.
Correct.
But if you're not healthy, if you have any kind of chronic disease, illness, autoimmune condition, no, you can't do that. Like you actually need to nourish your body with food, like real food, while you're implementing fasting. But sometimes, but there honestly, no matter what your lifestyle is, fasting has its benefits because it does eat up those dead cells. And then after 2 to 3 days, you actually start producing stem cells.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. And those go anywhere. Your body has this natural intelligence, and it will send those stem cells wherever you need them most. So I have healed my low back. I have had a severe low back injury in 2022. And longer stints of fasting have helped to heal some of the damage there. So over time, I had some, I would have these flare-ups, and I swear every time I do a longer fast, like that gets better and better and better, to where now the things that used to trigger my low back pain do not trigger it anymore.
That's great. That's awesome.
I've heard stories about people healing knee injuries that way. Fasting at different intervals does different things. But I think the other thing is it's okay to start where you can, right? That's the other myth, is like, well, if I'm not doing a 3-day water fast, then I'm not really fasting and it's not going to help. Like even just making sure you don't eat for a solid 12 hours overnight, from dinner to breakfast is beneficial fasting on some level.
Of course. And then your gut feels a little bit better. I feel like some people do the 16, and I know that's what a lot more people recommend, but even starting with the 12 just helps, in different ways. I feel so, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
So given that, how does diet and fasting, not just for your physical health, but how does it help your emotional well-being?
Yeah. So you make most of your happy chemicals, like serotonin, in your gut, not your brain. Like 80 to 90%. So when you take an antidepressant, it is actually trying to force 10% of neurotransmitters in your brain to do more work, to make up for the fact that your gut's broken. Right? So if you want access to your happy chemicals, you got to work on the gut. And fasting is just an amazing way to heal the gut. Your gut needs a break. It needs time to heal. It needs time to use its natural intelligence. The other thing is, most people have some form of pathogens in their gut, fungus, bacteria, or parasites, and those all have to eat. And if you don't eat, they don't eat, right? And so one of the best ways to naturally allow those to die off is fasting, right? Because you can live longer than they can without food. And so,
it's just, we're so programmed: breakfast, lunch, dinner, dinner, this time, that time. So of course. So there's definitely so many different benefits just from starting with treatment, but also knowing how to do it, because it's not just, okay, now I have an eating window, eat whatever I want. It's also putting nutritious things into our body as well. So my next question is, what does holistic trauma therapy mean to you? And how does it differ from traditional talk therapy?
Sure. So, I mean, in many ways, I'm making it up as I go along, but there are a handful of therapists that have worked in holistic mindsets. And one of the biggest one is that trauma actually stores as a toxin on a cellular level, which I did not know until I started this health program. I had no idea. They definitely don't teach you that in grad school. I don't think they even know that.
Yeah.
But it stores as a toxin. It's part of your toxic load. It's part of what is affecting your health, right? And so as all the other toxins do, and you have to have 3 sources of toxicity. It can be emotional, chemical, or environmental, right? I mean, you need 3 sources of toxicity to cause a crash, to cause chronic disease and autoimmune conditions to happen. And trauma is part of that. And so teaching people that is super important, right? Like as we release the trauma, that's going to contribute to your physical health. But then I had some clients when I was working for the government, before I started my own practice, I noticed this pattern when I learned these things. I had certain clients that the trauma therapy did not work.
Okay.
Very, very few. And I realized later, every single one of them was living in a severely moldy home. And because I had enough, I had mold toxicity. And so that was something that I did tend to like ask people about, like when it just, they were telling me they had all these health issues. And I was like, are you living in mold? And these particular clients, it was so obvious. It was crawling up the walls. Like their homes had really bad mold issues, and the trauma would not release because when your cells go into cellular danger response because they just cannot get away from the toxins, nutrients can't get into the cell, and energy as well as toxins cannot get out of the cell, right? So then you have chronic fatigue because the mitochondria is not getting out. And you also cannot really release trauma because the trauma can't get out of the cell. The toxins cannot get out of the cell. And so that was a game changer for me, is to recognize some of my clients are going to be too sick. Their doctor is going to send them to me because they have this myriad of health issues, but they also have anxiety and depression because that happens when your physical health crashes. Happened to me too. And I was a seasoned therapist when that was happening to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so dysregulated and depressed and anxious. And I knew enough about my own mental health to know it was physical. I knew that it was physical.
And you had to really work hard also for your mindset, because, as you're changing your eating habits, you're also like fighting with yourself, essentially, like, okay, can I do this? And I don't know where to begin. And, so how has your mindset changed since you've established this kind of lifestyle for yourself?
Yeah. So what I love about the program that I teach, that I went through myself and I teach, is it's meant to empower you, right? It's meant to empower you, not just to heal yourself, but go take this message to the world. It's meant to turn your pain into purpose, right? So I didn't just work with a naturopath who said, take these tinctures, do these things, let me read your test results. I'll just tell you what to do from there. I worked with a program that empowered me to work on my health for the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
To help heal my family and friends, and then eventually to coach other people, which I love that about Dr. Pompa. He really wants to give this message to the world and to empower people. So like, there are other things that have come up. Like now I'm in perimenopause, right? That wasn't an issue I had when I went through the program, but I have all these resources and all these tools and all these experts that I have access to through that program to continue to work on that, like to live my best life in perimenopause. Like my family will have health issues come up, and I have the tools, right? I have the tools, I have the resources. That's very empowering, right? It's not just about, will I feel better? It's also, can I prevent Alzheimer's? Can I do what like, at least with what I have, like, can I do my best to prevent Alzheimer's and cancer in the future? I have the tools for that. That is so empowering. And just to be able to put your health in your own hands, but not just my hands. It's because I have this community. I have these connections and these resources, these very knowledgeable people. Didn't just say, we're just going to tell you what to do and you need to blindly do it. They said, here's all the information.
Yep.
Now you can do it for yourself.
That's great. That's great. That's the benefit of going to programs like that, because it gives you a holistic approach, and then they also become that coach and that accountability person. Because a lot of times, we as individuals can have those roadblocks because we don't have someone keeping us accountable. So we're just like, oh yeah, that diet will wait tomorrow, or that workout will work out tomorrow. So tomorrow never comes. So it's about taking that that step forward today, and breaking through that mindset block. And from your experience, what would be that small lifestyle change that can make the big difference for someone living with chronic illness? What do you think is the first small step that they can make?
Honestly, yeah. Looking at diet and fasting, right? Looking at diet and fasting does come first, because we're working on this now, but there's so many things in our food
Oh yeah.
that are just really working against our health. And so learning what that is, which the diet and fasting course takes you through all of that, learning how you eat, what you eat. There's so much confusion there. Even keto, right? You go to the store and you get things that say they're keto. They're chock full of chemicals.
I know. And I'm guilty of not reading labels, but now I realize that things that you think don't have sugar, like sometimes these frozen vegetables, you don't realize has all this. So you think, oh, it's frozen, but there's so much sodium and all these things, and I'm just like, okay, I'm better off just going to buy the produce and eating it natural in the raw, or cooked in a way that's not in a can or frozen matter, because it's just better for you. You'll feel the
Yeah. And you'll eat less. I mean, ultimately, people get concerned about the cost, but once you start eating real food, you eat so much less because you're eating so many empty calories.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right? On the standard American diet, it's so many empty calories. Once you start fasting, and you can go in and out of ketosis. Ketones are so good for your brain and mental health too. Once your body learns to be metabolically flexible where it can burn glucose or ketones, it can go back and forth. I don't eat very much. Like, I don't need to. I'm in my 40s, I really don't need to. And now my body knows that. And my body tells me what I need. Oh yeah.
Exactly. And I think also when you're not drinking enough water too, you tend to eat more, and then you're like, wait, I was just thirsty. I wasn't this hungry,
And water with minerals, right? We don't get enough minerals. People will just chug water all day, and they don't understand that's diluting their minerals in their body. So clean minerals, make sure there's no fake sugars in there. Make sure there's no sugar in it, but there's several really great brands. We make sure we add lots of minerals in, because your body, there's 102 minerals that your body requires, and most of us are deficient in a fair amount of them. And the ocean, I know you don't live near that. Well,
2.5. Well, there's a Colorado River not too far, but yeah.
The ocean air actually contains all 102 of those minerals, right?
Wow. Well, it looks like my beach trip is coming sooner. No, but it is. It's the energy like you feel. I feel like when I'm near a waterway, I just feel a different type of energy, and then you just feel calm with the ocean breeze. And I don't know. It's definitely something.
It regulates your nervous system, being near moving water, and then the nutrients in the air, and the ocean in particular has, that's why people feel so good, right? They're grounding, they're barefoot on the ground. All that stress just leaches into the earth, and it resets your frequency, and then you get that 102 minerals from the air, from this air. And that's why I think, in the Victoria era, when somebody was really sick, they'd say like, oh, I'm going to the sea for healing. Literally. Right. People would go to the sea for healing because it is healing.
It is. Even a simple, like, sometimes when I feel this anxious moment coming on, I'll just put like a sound bath on or a meditation, and I start feeling that energy just change. Just shutting down the brain and just thinking, okay, it's okay to not think something. It's okay to just be in this moment, and then you end up falling asleep, because you're just you're so so in closing, I want to know, what advice would you give someone curious about fasting and who's unsure where to start?
Sure. Yeah, I would highly recommend the Health Center's fasting course, diet and fasting course. It's really good information for a range of people, but it's designed for really sick people. That's the thing, is most of the stuff out there is not designed for really sick people. And so and so many people are sick now.
Oh yes, yeah,
right?
no.
Almost everyone has a chronic condition, chronic illness, autoimmune. And so most of the advice is not for them. What you're going to find on social media, most of it is not for them. And so, you'll try all these different things and it's not working because you're too sick. And so if you have any kind of diagnosis at all of a chronic condition, chronic illness, autoimmune, the Health Center's diet and fasting course is meant for you. And I would.
Well, I can't wait to share that link with other people and for them to get to know you even more. I think you're doing an amazing job helping people in their health journey. And
Thank
you. I wish you so much success. But this is what I ask everyone at the end. What inspires you daily? What is it, that one thing that inspires you every day? Aside from your work, what inspires you daily?
I mean, my son. Yeah. I want him to have like the health mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that I didn't get to have as a kid. Right. I want him to have all the things. And so, I mean, he's hilarious. He talks health stuff all the time. He's only 6 and he'll talk about fasting. He'll come home and tell me, you really need to talk to my friend's mom about what he's eating for snack.
Huge.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sure he watches you grow as a mom, as a person, and you're going to inspire him throughout his life. You're a wonderful person. So I know you're going to do great things, my friend. So, guys, please follow her. Her name is Beth Wiseman. She has a website, bethwiselpc.com. And you can also email her if you have any questions, set up an appointment. That's her website right there. Her website, her email is bwiselpc@gmail.com. And for the replay, follow oneself at oneselfconsulting.com. So thank you so much, Beth. It's been an honor to interview you, to learn from you, and also be inspired by you. So
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, anytime you want to come back, the door is always open. So, guys, take one step today that your future self will thank you for. Signing off, oneself and Natasha. Bye, Beth.
Bye.
Yeah.